Hi. Top of squat, man. Can you guys see us?
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun?
I love you when you play dirty.
I am in the situation, not just to have Draft House invite everybody and come out to hear what we have to say, but the fact that this gentleman, after many years of acquaintance, has come out specifically to talk to me. It means a great deal.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. And right before we get started, most of you won't be able to see this, but there's a little stain on Shane's shirt. It's right between the fourth and fifth button, and that is where?
That's where the Alamo dog dripped mustard.
Wow. Okay, he had a different answer before that I had multiple choice.
I'm sorry, did I kill the
chosen
joke?
that.
Go ahead.
No, we'll try again at the end. So, this Donald Westlake was the pseudonym. No, that's the real guy, and the pseudonym was Richard Stark? Okay, I like that. It's kind of synchronistic. When did you, I think it was around, what, early 60s, 62 was when the first Parker book came out?
The first time, because Westlake was known for, funny writing. I think there was a guy once on the cover of one of his books, I remember seeing The Mad Jester of the Mystery World. I thought, okay, I'm in for that.
Well, then it's kind of come full circle because I think Play Dirty is really a kind of subversively super witty. We'll talk about the cast and the storytelling and all that, but if I were to pull any one of you aside right now and ask you to walk me through all the machinations of the plot, how do you think you'd do? Pretty good? I kind of followed it.
Yeah.
But I think unlike a lot of crime thrillers or crime thrillers with wit, there's something about this and why I think it bears rewatching and why I think Play Dirty is so good is you have to stop and think, okay, this is not the first time in this film that robbers are stealing from robbers. They've repeated that theme, but now there's a turnaround and a twist and a double graph from this and the outfit. By the way, the outfit, wasn't that the name of one of his novels?
Yeah, that was, in fact, that's the novel, sort of, I believe, where he goes up against the outfit.
Okay.
Where that's what they're talking about.
Right.
It's a previous experience. So we didn't start with the first one. Because that's been done many times.
Yeah.
So we reference it as though he's already, it's like Superman did that. They start when he's already been a superhero for, what, 3 years or something?
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's why we did it.
I like it. I have to say, too, in watching Wahlberg do this, and I'm not jealous as an exec, but somewhere between him in The Fighter and him in Ted, there's this middle space where he can kind of ground and be the lead in a film that has a lot of wit and a lot of moving parts, and you kind of, if you don't buy what your hero is doing, and it's a weird kind of hero because he basically bumps off this dumb dad who thinks he's going to rob the robbers within Rosa actually robbing the robbers at the end of even just the first 8 minutes of this movie. And he offers his wife a measly $10,000 for her trouble. So at what point in developing this did you realize that human life had a price tag of $10,000 or less?
Well, one of the things we wanted to do in this film particularly was to not have the sense of this is a world where everyone takes money for granted. This is not sort of a Bondian universe. It's a blue-collar Bond.
Right.
Sort of. These are guys, $10,000 goes a long way to fixing their car. Forget that they know the exact temperature at which this will ignite or that this thermite heats to this. They are just people.
What's the take on the first heist that they wind up what they would have split up if the robber, if she hadn't robbed the robbers? Is it 60 grand?
Yeah, they were going to get a little over 60 apiece. And
60 apiece.
That's what we love in a way, because most movies, they're sliding down, upside down, suspended on cables in black with laser goggles. And it's this high, and the goal is to like...
Yes.
Yeah.
And eventually we're talking about $1 billion that might be, well, with the amended new version of reheisting the heist, $500 million, which is really 400 in today's market. And somebody talks about Bitcoin. So I feel that you really modernized this kind of crime thriller and this character and brought it into 2025. And I think, and I have to really credit Amazon with this too, like, do you notice the scale of this thing? In watching it over these different iterations and then refreshing and watching it night before last again on a big screen, I was like, it just never stops from the beginning. And it's not just, I sometimes tune out, and I think this is one of the things that you truly are a master of, and you have been from the beginning of your career, and even when you were just writing, Lethal Weapon that was fleshed out by other folks, is that there's an immense amount of detail into the sanctity of the American experience of an action movie, and then bringing in the genre of heist. But it just never stops. It's so, but it also doesn't feel like I've tuned out because it's too much, because there's this machinations of how you're telling the story at the same time. That story is always connected to the action.
Yeah. Well, there's no sense, an action picture where you can swap, where the action's interchangeable. Well, let's put the fight here, let's move it to the beginning and do the fight there. Inherently, that's a problem, because as you know, and in your films, when there's an action sequence, it's determined to reveal something, not just a plot twist, but something about you being pushed to an extreme or pushed up against the envelope of your, moral code or something.
Yeah. And then there's the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, and I would imagine you guys agree. There's something about, this is a really diverse and interesting, and I think great ensemble cast. In the vein of like just some of those huge movies, you could fill in the blank yourself, but I think you have Mark and Rosa, and then it just keeps getting more interesting in all the characters, and you might want to spend a minute talking about some of the other cast members. They all just seem to bring in this other element or this energy or this kind of frequency that feels like it not only enhances what's going on, but no one ever feels like they're sticking out like a sore thumb. And yet there's this whole range of characters in it. And how did you find those balances? And tell me a little bit about this great cast.
Well, it is a great cast. It was shot in Australia, so necessarily we were looking for people in Australia to not just be day players, but to actually participate as leads in the movie. And we got Chai Hansen, and we got Claire Lovering. And the great thing about them is they do what great actors do, which is two things. One, they surprise you, and secondly, they do it without a lot of screen time. So these guys, in a very short span, were able to define and stamp themselves as unique. Some of that's the writing, and reminds me, by the way, to call out Anthony Bagarozzi and Charles Mondry.
Yeah.
Everybody. Because when you talk about modernizing Parker, these are my guys. I've known them for 40 years.
100%. It was a tall order. And even seeing Tony Shalhoub in this way, where you're kind of buying him as the heavy, but he's also not playing it like it's that big a deal to be the head of the outfit. Because I would imagine if you're the head of the outfit, you don't wake up in the morning and go, I better act like I'm the head of the outfit. It's just a guy who probably nowadays has a desk and has these big kind of, corporate shell companies, or is doing in moving stuff. And I also love the idea that, and Parker finds this out later, that they're not quite solvent. And that even now, because in 2025, even the mob might be kind of hurting. And so it's interesting. There's all these things. The characters are never these two-dimensional kind of block figures of what we might be used to seeing in films. They always have these little idiosyncratic kind of differences that kind of make them somehow more relatable,
Yeah, and also something I've tried to do from the start that I learned also from you, among many other mentors, but certainly you do this, is you say, we can make this movie, but what's it about?
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we doing here?
I think that I'm just really proud to have my name on this. I'm really pleased as punch that Amazon got behind this, and I think they just are really continuing to blossom as a great place for entertainment, and any excuse to come out and celebrate you again. Let's hear it for Shane Black and Downey. Thank you, Alamo Drafthouse. I think you guys got a good thing going on here. I'll be back in the future, maybe even with Shane. And thanks, and have a good night.
Thank you, guys.